Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide from Mount Panorama with the Jaguar F Type Gr. And before we get started, I just want to note that I recently made a new playlist where I'll have all the current guides up for the FIA and the daily races, so you can check it out in the description down below or on my channel. And I've also previously made a lap guide for the same exact race with the Chevrolet Corvette Group 3. It's one of the better cars, so if you want to check it out, I'll have it in the eye in the top right corner and in the description down below. Just remember, this is now a one-stop race. But for now, we're trying something a little different. We're trying the Jaguar F Type Group 3. So your first braking point is just after you pass the 100-meter board. You want to brake hard for a short moment and then ease off of the brakes and turn in after you pass the 50-meter board. Gradually transition over from the braking to the throttle. And then we're going to fast forward through this in a bit. Bring yourself towards the left side of the track and brake as you pass the path that is on the left. So you want to brake hard for a short while. Nice and easy off of the brakes. Do not climb onto the curbs on the right and gently accelerate. Bring yourself towards the right, and as you make this left turn, you want to ease off of the throttle. And as you hit the apex of this left turn, that is where you want to do a little bit of braking control. Just try not to bring yourself too far to the right, and then just bring yourself in towards the inside of the turn and gradually accelerate your way out. Use the happy little tree on the left as your turning point and do a little lift off of throttle. This part, it's a bit more about throttle control. Same with this left turn, a little bit of throttle control needed over here. Same for this next left turn. Lift off of the throttle before you pass the track marshals on the right. So just lift off of the throttle, no braking needed. And then you want to set yourself up by pointing towards the right and then brake just as you're about to go under the Audi R8 sign. You can use braking and throttle to slow yourself down while keeping the car nice and stable as you go down the S's. Quick burst of braking as you're about to go down the dipper, and you want to be a little careful on the throttle input so you don't get a lot of wheel spin. Then as you make this right turn, that's where you want to use a little bit of braking to bring yourself towards the right. And as the wall on the right turns blue, that is where you want to start to brake as much as you can in a straight line. And you can bring yourself down to first gear to get the car to rotate through forced elbow, and then get the car pointing where you want to go, and then fully accelerate. Let's fast forward through this. Bring yourself towards the right, and just as you pass the 150-meter board, that is where you want to start to brake. So you'll be braking hard for a while. Turn in at the 50-meter board, nice and easy on the throttle, and go up to third gear. And then bring yourself towards the right for the final turn, where you want to brake just after you pass the 100-meter board. Brake hard for a short while, and just like the first turn, you want to gradually transition over from the braking to the throttle. But that's all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the strategies. For this race, we are doing 9 laps on Mount Panorama with the Group 3 cars. Fuel is a ×2, so fuel is not an issue at all, but the tire wear is a ×7, so tire wear is a pretty big issue. We are given the racing soft and medium tires, and both tires are required, so you do need to use both tire compounds so you don't get a 1-minute penalty after the race ends. And as you see, I'm in custom race because my internet has been dying on me a lot. So anyways, during your first lap, just be a little careful about how you drive the car because your tires, they're going to be cold, so they're not going to provide all the grip. So just be a little patient with the car. Just be nice and gentle as the tires warm up. And as for cars to choose for this race, basically you just want a car that can go fast. So you want a car with decent top speed. So cars like the Toyota Supra, the Nissan GT-R, Chevrolet Corvette, especially the Corvette, that's one of the better cars, and the Jaguar F Type. Those are some of the more decent cars for this combination, and they're probably going to be the cars that you'll be seeing pretty often when you do this race. And the Jaguar F Type, I wanted to try it out, and it's a pretty decent car. It's alright in the time trial, but it is a bit better when it comes to the race due to how it handles the tires a bit better than some of the other cars like the Corvette and the Supra. So F Type is definitely a car worth checking out. But anyways, in terms of strategy, I know we had this race a couple months ago, and that was just before the pit stops were updated. So back then, the 2-stop was possible because the pit stops were really short. But this time around, the pit stops are much longer now. So this is pretty much a 1-stop race. And I'll show the pit stop sequence in a bit. I just want to show how bad the tire wear situation is because we're starting lap 5 and we're on the racing soft tires. And you can see that we're already about 1 second down from our best lap. So let's skip on over towards the end of lap 5, just going over to the pit stop. And make sure you brake pretty early here. So I'm braking well before the 100-meter board because there's a little chicane before the pit stop, so you don't want to overshoot it and you don't want to hit the wall. But anyways, pit stops, they're much longer now. So if you saw the Corvette guide a while back, I did mention that the 2-stop was viable, but that is no longer the case because pit stops, they are much longer now. You're losing around 17 seconds, so much longer than I think it was 4 seconds back then. Yeah, so you're losing 13 more seconds now compared to February. So you pretty much just want to go for a 1-stop just for a tire change, and you'll be pitting around halfway into the race. And just don't forget that the tires you want to start on, it'll depend on where you're starting. So if you're starting in the very front, you can start on the racing soft tires, just try to get away from everyone. But if you're starting in the middle or in the back, you can start on the racing medium tires and get the slower tire compound out of the way. But that's pretty much it in terms of strategies for this race. Pretty straightforward 1-stop race for a tire change. But let's go ahead and talk about places to overtake. This first turn can be a place to get an overtake done. Just be careful about going too slow through turn 1 because if you go too slow and there's someone behind you, they can take advantage of your slipstream and try to get a passage done as you go up the mountain straight. And this is another place where it is possible to get the overtake done, especially with the help of slipstream. But as soon as you go up the mountain, this is where it's pretty much going to be a single file line until we start to go down the mountain. So you're pretty much going to be single file line, just trying to keep up with the pace and just try not to bin it. So let's go ahead and fast forward through all this because this is all single file line until we reach the Conrad Straight, which is the second long straight here at Mount Panorama. So with the help of slipstream, it is possible to go for an overtake and hopefully you can get it done before you reach the chase, which is the upcoming right turn. And this is pretty much the last best place to get the overtake done, although there is another place where overtakes can happen, which I'll highlight in a moment as we go through the chase. And then the last place where it is possible to get a pass done is, of course, the final right turn. And just be a little careful through this final right turn because it is easy to end up slowing yourself down a bit too much, which will make you lose time. But in terms of the race duration, this is pretty much your average daily race C, with the duration being around 18.5 minutes. In this case, I had a 18 minutes and 38 seconds in the custom race. And finally, the penalty serving zones. The first one is in the mountain straight, so just after turn 1, here is the first penalty serving zone. So if you have a penalty to serve, you'll be serving it here, and you'll be losing quite a bit of time if you have to serve penalty here at Mountain Straight. And the other penalty serving zone is in the other straight. It is hanging out in the middle of Conrad Straight, so just as you're going down the hill, the second penalty zone starts right here, and you'll be losing even more time here compared to the one on Mountain Straight. But that is pretty much it for this guide. Once again, 1-stop race, do not go for a 2-stop. But that's all for me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. CA, wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.